The turkeys are here to remind us that fall weather is finally here. It's in the 80s during the day and 50s, maybe 40s at night. These eggs are ready for lockdown, which means they come out of the turners and sit on this comfy mat, also so little feet don't go through the grate on the bottom. The lid goes on and does not come off during this time. The temperature stays the same, but humidity goes up. This is all to help them get out of the shell. I must have counted wrong because they came about 2 days early, but that's okay. I have a chick box in that room. I put their water in this little dish to start off with some glass beads in it so nobody drowns. I have them on a game bird starter crumble, but the crumble is sometimes a little bit too big, so I make it smaller in a coffee grinder. I usually start off in a little dish and I can peck it with my finger and they'll come over and do the same thing, but they had already figured this out. To make sure they know where to get water, I dip their beak in on just a few of them, and it's usually monkey see, monkey do. I keep a heat lamp according to what these chicks do. If they're huddled together as close to the light as they can be, then they're too cold. If they're as far away from the light and they're panting, then they're too hot. That determines how high you raise the heat lamp. This one is just sleeping. It's the cutest one in this bunch, but in the first few days you do have to watch out for basically SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. This one's sleeping too. They just like to sleep like the dead. At 2.5 weeks, they were flying out of the trough, so we moved them outside and gave them a heat lamp. Now I have to clear out this pen for the new batch to grow out in here, so that means harvesting these birds. Time slipped away and Wilbur got too big for us to castrate him, so we are taking him to the vet, and he seemed to enjoy the ride. He came back a little loopy from his drugs still, but he was doing good. He used to be a boar, and now he's called a barrow because he's castrated. While we were at the pig pens, we decided to measure the pigs so we can figure out the weight of them. The length of the back is needed from the base of the ears to the base of the tail, and then right around their heart girth, right behind the front legs. You take the heart girth and times it by itself, then times that by the length of the pig, and then divide that all by 400, and it tells you how many pounds they are. Hagrid is 351 pounds, and Gwen is about 316. Peppermint Patty is dangerously close to having her baby. Up here, she's a little more hollowed out than normal. She's also just old, and she's bagging up, or her udder's filling with milk. She's also getting loose in that area there. Peppermint Patty's about 10, so this is going to be her last calf before we sell her. She's just getting too old to be able to chew. Our steer, Chisholm, will also be leaving us to go to freezer camp. He's just a little too aggressive, and he's not really going to be that impressive. He was Ladybird's first calf. Of course, Crockett will be staying with us as our herd bull. And Bowie gets to stay right here as our steer, which that castration will be done sometime before it gets hot. Frida and the other girls will stay as breeders. Coturnix will be bred this time of year and hopefully has at least twins. I want to keep a female or castrate a male and keep him. But keeping rams is difficult. This day he must have lost his outside privilege, probably for ramming me. Lately, he's been ramming his brush that normally he just rubs his head on, but I think since it's breeding season, all the boys are going crazy. This is held to the post by fence staples, so it has barbs in it, but the pigs and actually Coturnix has gotten the fence detached from the post, so he can't have his brush anymore. The bucks are also a constant reminder that it's about breeding time, so I made sure everybody's minerals and baking soda was topped off in their pens, and now I'm going to hoof trim each of the girls and Jack Jr. We just got back from a trip and now we're preparing for another one, so we make sure the feed is filled up and labeled. I did some extra hints just for those who live in the suburbs. It is hard to leave the farm and we don't do it very often, but we try to make more conveniences for whoever's watching the farm, like stretching this hose from the water spigot all the way down to the pigs. This was chicken processing day, and Crockett thought he would come over and play tetherball with the blood buckets. 24 hours after we have slaughtered the chickens, I go back and pull little feathers, usually under the wings is where we miss it. Pull certain things like the crop. It's part of the digestive tract. And just make sure everything got pulled from it, give it a good rinse, and then bag and seal them. And I'll add in here, between slaughtering and the 24 hours of letting rigor set in, they are on ice. I got these bags from Texas Poultry Shrinkbags.com. I make sure the neck is folded back, the wings are folded in, and I push the legs down as far as I can. This tube goes in the cavity and out the bag, so I twist around it and then put a zip tie just tight enough so that I can get that tube out after all the air escapes. It's recommended that the water be at 170 to 200 degrees, so that's what mine is at. I pull the tube up a little bit, and yes, I have been squirted with chicken juice, and magically it is shrink bagged. I weigh them, and it comes with a sticker. You have to make sure it's dry for that sticker to stick. I usually put it on the breast because it's prettier that way. Next time I will remember not to have the seam on the breast. With some of them, we left them in the plucker a little bit too long, and it starts to tear skin, which makes the meat a little drier. So I decided to quarter most of those. Derek would want you to know here that the skin of a chicken is yellow in the grocery stores because they feed them carotenoids like marigolds and alfalfa, stuff like that, to turn the skin yellow. It was a marketing ploy. Somebody thought it would be more appealing in yellow. It's the same thing with the dark yolks and eggs. One of my favorite things to do is make chicken stock with the carcasses. I just love using all of what we raised. This is a day and a half later. That's typically how long I leave it in there. You strain it through 2 layers of cheesecloth and another strainer, and it makes the best chicken stock you've ever had. This is through 2 batches, so I kept it in the fridge between each one. And here's an update on my shop. This is barn wood that we got from the old barn that was on our property when we bought it. It's over 100 years old. Our neighbor we bought it from was born and raised here, so he knows for a fact it's over 100 years old. This is what we did with it. Brought it back to where that barn was standing, so now it will live on in the new barn in my shop. As for my rock wall, I just started grouting and I haven't gotten it all done yet.